All right, guys, welcome back to Always Moving Forward. This has been a really, just an awesome week. We've got to sit down with a lot of great and amazing people. We just finished our show with Anastasia Verkos. Shout out to Anastasia. So we just, we just finished that show, and we did one interview in two different countries, which was awesome to be able to do. That was like, just incredible to be able to do a show in Australia. That was just beyond what I could have imagined we'd be able to do. So with that, this week we've been doing a lot of, bringing some guests on from the movie Seven Roses. We talked to Bobby Washington, the director and producer. We also talked to one of the actors, Jonathan Montez. So today I am bringing in the man himself, the guy who's putting his stamp on this whole movie, The Seven Roses, and this is Rex Seaton, and Rex plays the serial killer in this thriller. So without further ado, I'm going to bring him in. Let's go meet Rex and get to know a little bit more about him. How's it going, Rex?
It's going well, I'm really happy to be here. I'm excited.
Man, I'm excited about you being here, man. It's funny because, like I said, we talked to Bobby Washington and to Jonathan and, Heather Fraley and, even Chris D. Roberts. And all of them have had nothing but positive things to say about you. So, and then, especially, talking to Bobby and, going through all the scenes that you guys have gone through and just, I hear that you're doing an incredible job as, playing this character. So, we're going to talk about that a little bit later in the show, but I'm really looking forward to talking about that and see how to pick your brain on that and see how, how you're liking that role. And, we'll just talk a little bit more about that. So, so for right now, we're going to start off just kind of tell my audience where you were born and raised and what was life like growing up as being Rex.
So I was born and raised here in Florida. I was actually born in St. Pete, and then I moved to this little town. It's called Citra, Florida. One of those little towns that kind of everybody knows everybody type of deal. I was raised on a farm, so I was raised, I was really instilled with a lot of hard work. My parents did a phenomenal job. Shout out to them. I know we kind of live in a society where it's like it's either one side of the fence or the other. So I'm really happy that I got to be on the good side of the fence. And my parents really instilled good morals into me. Treat people the way you want to be treated. Don't give up. That's one of my biggest things is just like no matter how rough the road gets, just never quit. Just keep pushing. So that's kind of like some of the major things of when I was growing up.
Cool. So what was like school? What was school like for you?
Oh, so school, going to public schools and all this good stuff, and
Right.
being a ginger, as some would say, it was rough. It was rough. I got picked on a lot, but that toughens you up. That kind of toughens your skin up. Bullying is like, obviously I don't condone it, of course, but it definitely made me the person that I am today. It definitely made me a tough person and a wise soul, I'd like to say. And a lot of people say that about me.
So, while you're in school, being that you're an actor now, did you do any kind of acting or anything while you were growing up?
I did. So I started theater like in, the church and everything when I was like 4. My dad's Roman Catholic and my dad's mom is hardcore Roman Catholic. I no longer practice. I'm no longer Christian. But I was doing theater since I was 4. And then when I joined high school, in middle school, I joined the band. And then in high school, I did theater, band, and football. Football didn't last very long, but theater and band did throughout my entire high school career until they chopped the class, unfortunately. But I was kind of been in this since in my whole life, basically.
Right. So, as you were doing this, was there like maybe a pivotal moment or something that kind of made you think, hey, this is something that, a career that I want to pursue?
Yeah, so I knew I wanted to be an actor since I was a kid, right? Like that's been my dream goal from before I could even walk. And through high school and everything, goals kind of change, they kind of flip and flop. For a while there, I thought I was going to go strictly music. Um, but that didn't work. When I graduated high school, I actually traveled up and down the East Coast, kind of living out of my car. The typical, the aspiring actor, right? So I drove up and down the East Coast, going to extras, jobs and doing whatever audition I could do. Um, until there was a moment, and I don't know exactly what the moment was. I must have seen somebody in the service or something like that. Now, my whole family's in the military, but during that roughly 6 to 9 months of those travels, I decided that I'm going to stop what I'm doing and serve. And I was actually at a decent point in my career, I guess you could say. Like I was getting constant extra jobs and, starting to slightly get noticed, picking up representation and everything like that. But I said, if I don't do it now, I'll never do it. So I came back home and I tried to join the Navy and they didn't let me in because I have two heart diseases. I tried to join the Army, they didn't let me in. And then so I went for the Marines and they let me in, surprisingly. So I did that for about 4 years, and in there I wasn't anything band or anything like that related. Um,
So I was gonna say, it's kind of um, I don't say weird, but it's ironic that the Navy and the Army turned you down, but it seems like the one of the most strict military,
yeah,
being the Marines, they brought you. They're like, yeah, sure,
y-
just come on,
you know, it, a part of me thinks it's just they wanted numbers and they didn't really care.
right,
Because at Maps, the doctor, like he like listened to my heart and then he listened to my stomach, and he put the
right,
stethoscope back up to my heart. And in that moment, I was like, he's gonna tell me no. And he was just
right,
like, all right, you're good. Moving on. I was like, Roger that. And I just kept
right.
on tracking. And next thing I knew, I was in boot camp like 7 days later. So it
Wow.
was quick.
How
So
long did you serve for?
just 4 years. I just did
Just
one.
4 years.
Yep, just 4 years. And then immediately after that, I was a little bit lost, of
Right.
course. So I got a job at a prison. I became a
Hmm.
CO,
Okay.
and that didn't last very long. It was good, great,
Right.
great pay, great experiences. I have tons of stories from working there. But it just like I could tell, because it's one of those things like it's a prison, right? Even though I was a CO, I'm still going into a box, and I can only imagine what the inmates feel like, from day to day. Granted they're doing their time, but just like being in that box and kind of being constrained to this specific area, it started to make not only the imaginative part of my brain almost die. But it really just like made me think like I need to do what I was put on this earth to do, what I believe I was put on this earth to do. And there's a Jim Carrey quote, and I don't know it exactly, but Jim Carrey quoted that his father told him, because his father did, the basic, the 9 to 5, until he retired. And basically he told Jim, I believe, that you can you can do what you hate. I want to get the quote exactly, but it's basically like you can do something you don't like your entire life and they still don't care about you, or you can attempt to do the thing you love and have the same ending. I don't know the exact quote, but it really resonated with me. And so I was just like, you know what, screw this. I'm quitting. And they weren't very happy because retention rates in prisons, especially here in Florida, are not very good. But yeah, I quit the prison and then I just went full force. I started my own production company and then just started doing short films and just kind of putting myself out there. And next thing you know, I started getting noticed for being really good at looking like I can kill people. So
So, when you first started, do you remember what your first role was?
Extra or like speaking lead type of
Well, just going into
role?
it. So say your first extra, and then be able to progress and then get an actual speaking role.
Yeah. So, um, so my first extra role was actually in the movie Allegiant from the Divergent series.
Okay.
Um, and I actually have about like 5 to 10 seconds of like screen time.
Right.
I'm like you can pick me out in the movie, so it's kind of hard to miss me,
Right.
um, but that was that. And then I was in a movie called Logan Lucky with Chris Evans, or sorry, Logan Lucky with like uh Daniel Craig. There's a bunch of people in that movie. And then I was also in a film called The Gifted with Chris Evans. And then after that, my first speaking role, man, I don't even. My first speaking role, I believe, when I finally started, was in a movie, was in a short film for the Orlando independent film industry, and it was called Operation Blow, and it was directed by Angelise Bruno. She's amazing. Um, a short film. They put it into one. I think she put it into a few festivals. A little comedy. And at the time, since I was right out of, the Marines, I had to play the role that I had to play was this really nerdy like guy that gets himself into some trouble in it. And it's like a super comedy. And it's the like I was supposed to be this like super anorexic, glasses wearing, nerd. And in one of the shots, I actually have to be
Right.
shirtless and I have tattoos all over me and like I have, a six pack and like it does not fit the
Right.
role whatsoever.
Right. And I was going to ask you, playing a role like that, did you have to like cut your hair and like make change your appearance?
So so at that time I still had the short, I still had the skin fade, I still had the Marine look,
Yeah. Right.
so I had the short hair and everything. I didn't actually start getting this look until like 2019, like the
Okay.
beginning of 2020 when I got out of the Marines finally,
Right.
you know. Um and then obviously it took about 2 years of growing. So yeah, this look and
So,
surprisingly
so what you're saying is, if I wait 2 years, I'll just have really long hair.
right, a lot of biotin possibly, that it's don't give up.
I'll try. So go ahead, go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're fine. I was just gonna say when I started growing this out because I
Uh-huh.
had an acting coach and I was looking for agents and everything.
Right.
When I started growing out, everybody told me not to. They said
Mm.
cut your beard, cut your hair, keep yourself young is what everybody told me to do.
Right.
And I have a really good connection with my gut feelings.
Right.
So my gut said don't listen to him. So I was like, okay,
Right.
I'm not going to. And I told all of them. It was like 5 different agents that
Wow.
wanted to sign me, and I told them no. And I started, it started getting long. My beard started coming in, and the roles just started flowing in.
Right.
Like once I saw the beard in it, I don't know, maybe it's just because it's a unique look,
Right.
possibly, but I have been nonstop working since I went with the beard and long hair. So
So then let me ask you this, because I know a lot of actors, once they start hitting certain roles, they start getting typecast for those type of those type of roles. Do you think that's do you feel yourself kind of falling into some of that?
a little bit, I do. The last, I think the last like 3 or 4 roles in my future, like 1, 2, or 3 that I have in the books now are like psychopath, killer. I have one I'm a stoner, so it's slightly off that, but it's still like the same kind of look that they're going for. But I do have one audition I can't talk too much about, that I have to play a cop. So I might have to get rid of this entirely.
Right. Unless you're
Which,
undercover,
yeah, unless that, but it's
right.
unfortunately I don't think that's gonna be the
It's like it's
case.
not you. All right,
Yeah.
cool. So, so how long have you been acting for now?
Professionally, professionally since 2020, I would
Okay.
say. Um, but like I said, I've been acting since I mean, I've been a character my whole life, you
Right.
know. So
Right.
when I was a kid, my biggest thing would be to go to my nana or my grandparents and just make up stories like
Right.
about aliens that I saw walking on the fence posts, and
Right.
just so I've always kind of been that, like, you
Right.
know,
You know what?
character.
A lot of the actors, even some of the filmmakers that I talk to, they talk about starting young, and a lot of it came from they were originally writing stories. Did you were you ever into like writing stories, putting them down on anything on
Oh
paper?
yeah, oh yeah. I used to write. I used to write a lot when I was a kid.
Right.
Writing was like my outlet. I actually, it's been a minute, but I actually won a couple poem competitions
Oh
in
wow.
like m- going from like seventh, eighth to ninth and 10th grade. I would just write poems and submit them. Like these
Yeah.
like you win it and your poem gets put on like a coffee tabletop in some business, type of thing.
Right.
I won a couple of those, and then that transgressed into film writing, which I do all the time now.
Okay.
It's nonstop.
So you are a screenwriter now?
I am. I am. Well, I write films.
Okay.
I wouldn't classify myself as a screenwriter yet because
Okay.
I've taught myself how to write,
Right.
and like reading scripts, and I'm going through school right now, but
Okay.
uh, like the formatting and stuff, I still need a lot of work on that. So
Right.
I get the general first like rough draft done, and then I'll send it
Right.
out to the people that I know that are actually good writers.
Okay. Yeah. And people don't realize that you know writing a script is a lot different from writing a book because there's a
Oh,
whole format to it. You know,
oh yeah.
I've written a couple of scripts myself, and I remember the first script I wrote. It was in a book form, and I took it down to the film commission, and the lady, she didn't want to read it. She ended up reading it. She went out of state, flew out of state, and then I guess she got bored on the plane on the way back. So she's like, "Well, I guess I'll just read read this." So she read it and she loved it. Then she called me into the office and she gave me a copy of Major League that uh, Tom, not Tom Hanks, man, what's his name? Emilio Estevez's brother.
oh, oh, I'm right
It,
there.
it just slipped my mind, but he was a 3.5 man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways,
Yeah.
she gave me his, the script, Major League, so that I could see the format. And then I had to go buy some books so I could understand, and be able to write it in a script format. But I never realized how detailed and you know how that works. So, anyways, so you, that's just that's the process. But so now you've been doing this, you've been acting, I would say, for a long time, you know,
Yeah.
but professionally you've been doing it for about what 2 or 3 years.
Yeah,
But
about 2 or 3 years.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
So,
what are the things that you feel like that you've learned on the way?
oh, so much. There's so much to learn in this industry. The major thing is being able to take rejection, honestly. Being able to take criticism, being able to take and not just criticism, because there's a lot of, I'd say a majority of the industry is mostly respectful. But there are some people that just really don't care about your feelings. And they'll just tell you like blatantly that you are terrible and you're not good enough for the role. Like there's tons of, interviews and everything of actors and actresses just saying, how they're just not attractive enough, how they're just absolutely, they're not fit for this industry. There's certain people that'll just point out your flaws blatantly and be like, we're not casting you because of this,
Right.
right? um and my take on that is just to like to take that and grow from it, like build
Right.
it. It's just weights to me.
Right. And that was what I was going to ask you is, how do you personally, deal with that kind of rejection?
Yeah, I mean, my whole life I've kind of dealt with rejection,
Right.
in the sense of like, you know, not only being a ginger, because it's,
Right.
you're kind of an outcast to start with, but like I just kind of take it, and like I said, it's like I just think of myself like I'm in a place that I don't get a lot of stress,
Right.
which a place for that for me is like the gym or the rifle, like the range or something.
Right.
And I
Right.
just think that rejection is just 5 more pounds I'm putting on my dumbbells, and so it
Right.
just makes me stronger at the end of the day.
Okay. So, is there any um, um, I would say tips and the kind of lessons that you learned along the way that you would tell the younger you, or maybe tell somebody who's looking to break into this industry to kind of help them out?
Yeah, yeah. Shoot, the younger me, I'd have so many things to say too.
Right.
But somebody that's really trying to break in, advice that I'd give is there's not only going to be moments that you think you can't keep going. Um, there's going to be moments where, like I said, people tell you that you're not fit for this, but you are. If you want to do this solely and it's in your heart, keep pushing because you're going to get there. And what I highly recommend for new actors, even new filmmakers, is find your niche, right? Find what you are good at and perfect it. In this industry, it's great, right, to be the whole saying like a master of none, but you know, whatever I can't think of my sayings today. But the saying of a master of none, but you're really good at all these other things. I don't know the saying. But it's more beneficial in this industry for you to know your niche and push with that. So if your niche is horror acting, right? Perfect that. Go find classes that are going to help you in that and perfect that. And once you have made a name for yourself and you can do this and it's paying your bills, it's feeding you, and it's making you happy, then start kind of trickling off and experimenting in the things that you really want to do, the other things that you want to do. And then other things is honestly classes, especially for actors. Like we're in the age of technology and knowledge, so like there's just an abundant amount of knowledge for you to gain, and it doesn't matter where you are in your career, you can learn something. So just continue pushing and trying to make yourself better in whatever way you want it to, whether that's acting, whether that's being behind the camera, sound. There's always something you can learn. And if you are an actor, I highly recommend shadowing some people that do crew work, shadowing a first AD, shadowing a DP. Because it does help you as an actor. After I started like getting behind the camera and actually shooting and working the sound and everything, it really did help me as an actor on set when I'm doing film acting. Of course, theater is that's a totally different beast, but film acting, which I prefer anyways, is you know everything is just as important, right? And so I would highly recommend just, keep pushing, learn as much as you possibly can, and, never take no for an answer.
Right. And I think you brought up two really great points. First of all, the technology is out there. So even if you're not in an area that has classes that you could take, um, you know, there's online opportunities as well. I know that I interviewed Pooja. She was from Lincoln Lawyer and Chicago Hope. She does um, a class as well. She actually teaches people online. So I know she had two classes this month where you can actually go in and she walks you through the whole process. She walks you through the whole filmmaking process, and then even the acting side of it. So that's a good point. The other thing too is like I just got to doing an interview with Anastasia Verkos from the Verkos show in Australia. I mean, who would have thought that? That you could do. We did one episode, one interview with each other from two different countries. So the technology is definitely there. You just have to go find it. And then
Exactly.
the other thing that you brought up too, that I think is a good point, is even if you don't get a part in a movie, um, learn the other things in the movie too. So see if they'll let you hang around and learn the lighting, learn how how the sound go. Hang out with the sound guy and learn the audio. Learn if somebody will show you the camera and the camera angles and all the other parts to it. Always be willing to absorb and learn. So I mean that's two great points that you brought up.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I've gotten I've personally gotten a lot of gigs just from wanting to help out on set. Like
Right,
as an actor, just going like, "Hey, my role is done. I'm wrapped." Right.
right,
But I'm like, it's a small set or it's a skeleton crew or something, and I'm like, "Hey, if y'all guys need help, I can hold a flag,
right,
or I can run and grab waters for people. Like I don't mind. But
right,
I've learned more. Like I said, I'm going through film school right now,
right,
but I've learned more just working on sets, even not even as an actor, than I have in the school.
right.
So just being on set,
And
and then
it's on the job training, and you can't beat that.
exactly,
Yeah.
yep, and the
So
connections that you can make just by making
right,
yourself in just aware. Just people
right,
will start to notice you. Like if you're on multiple sets a week, people will
right,
start to notice you, and you'll get to the point where like you're getting messages saying, "Hey, can you be in this film?" You
right,
know, at the end of the month. "Hey, could you help me here?" And you're just like getting known and noticed and recognized. And honestly, that's one of the biggest factors of being successful in this industry is who you know and how much people will remember you.
right. And I've had a couple. Some people say it too. Tony Taylor, Christy Roberts, Bobby Washington. They all said the same thing. A lot of it is networking. So even if you don't get the role, uh, just being there, being gracious. First of all, if you don't get the role, don't get upset you didn't get the role. You know what I mean? Because there's always other movies coming up that you might be a better fit for. You know, and I know we talk about that all the time on my show, but yeah. So always be gracious. And then use that opportunity. Use the opportunity to learn, or like Bobby says, sometimes what he'll do is just give you. He may not give you the role that you're looking for, but sometimes he may give you another role that he thinks you're fit for. You're a better fit for. The other thing too is the networking. Even if you have nothing you can do on that set, everybody, especially with your guys' community, everybody there knows everybody.
Yep.
So there, um, and being present and helping, eventually that networking is going to pay off, and you're going
Oh
to
yeah.
get something. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and a big factor of that too is like getting rejected for roles. I practice Taoism, so one of the biggest things is like everything happens for a reason, right?
Right.
So like if you missed that role, there was a reason for that.
Right.
So like you said, don't get upset that you didn't land the role.
Right.
Just take it, learn from it, and keep pushing.
Right. So, all right, cool. So now we're going to talk about the role that you've been playing. So I want to kind of break into a little bit and talk about Seven Roses.
Okay.
So first of all, everybody is talking about you on the set, especially you're in character. Um, and then everybody just tells me, um, just what the great actor you are, and how you're just killing this role. No pun intended. Wait. So, but yeah, let's tell me a little bit about the movie. Tell me kind of what you're doing, and just let our audience kind of see a sneak peek.
Yeah. So Seven Roses is about this guy. His name's Colin, and he had a very troubled, very messed up childhood.
Right.
And from that, he let me see. From his childhood, he basically wants to enact revenge in some way upon some of the people or persons, who knows, that messed him up, right? Um It's honestly, it's a really cool, deep story. It brings up a lot of issues in today's society, which I like to do in my films. I like to like the films that I like to not only be a part of, but that I'd like to write or produce. I like to bring things up that have a deeper meaning. You know, it's like obviously at the end of the day, it's entertainment, right? So the purpose of it is to make you forget entirely about where you are. Like while you're watching the movie, you're sitting there. I want you to be like entrapped into whatever screen you're watching it on. And Seven Roses, I think the story that we have, the actors that we have, Bobby, phenomenal director, phenomenal DP. His motivation and his drive is insane. It's super inspiring um what he does because he just works. He's a hardcore workhorse, and he's inspired me to even push myself harder. And I didn't think I could. Um but on I mean Seven Roses, it really has an impactful story. Um with with multiple storylines that I thoroughly believe that the audience is going to be entrapped and on the edge of your seat the entire time.
And that's one of the things I was talking to Bobby about that I really like about Seven Roses is that each rose is a person. You know what I mean? And so of course, you got seven of them, but each scene is so different from the scene. Like from the scene previous. It's like they have each person has nothing in common. You know, with the person. Like the other six roses, and so. You go from one scene of like a hitchhiker, and next thing you know, you're at it looks like a party, or I mean, it's just I like the way he did it. So, uh,
Yeah.
so what was it like to be able to do, be able to play this character?
Um it's fun. It's a lot of fun
Right,
because I am somewhat of a method actor. So
right,
this one's hard because it's we've been filming for so long,
right,
and I do have other projects in between, so I can't be fully method the entire time or I
right,
would probably be in jail. Um but it honestly did um kind of really stretch my talents as an actor because
right,
a lot of what I do in this movie is improv. Like
right,
I have the script, right? But
right,
I don't really know my lines. As
mm,
terrible as that sounds.
right,
But like I just kind of go in. I have a general, knowledge of the lines and what the other
right,
people are supposed to say and timing, but I kind of let the vibe of the other actors, whether I'm killing them, whether I'm fighting them, whether I'm just having a conversation with them, I
right,
let them kind of flow with how my crazy meter, right?
right, right,
So as Colin, he kind of has like you have your everyday person crazy meter. His is
right,
kind of already pretty high,
right.
but
Elevated.
yeah.
Right,
So, but there are certain roses that he doesn't like get as hostile, you could say, as
right,
other roses. You
right,
know, um, for example, with Heather, he's or with Heather's rose,
right,
he's somewhat kind of friendly, almost. Very inviting, creepy, but
right,
somewhat inviting. Something that somebody that was really in a pinch
right,
might go with him. Somebody
right,
that was in a situation might be willing to put his kind of awkwardness and weirdness aside so that he could help them. Granted, it would end up with them probably not in the best condition afterwards.
right,
But in the beginning, you'd be like, "Oh, this guy's okay, but he's kind of just weird."
right,
Um, but honestly, on set so far, one of my favorite things is because I have this thing. It's like before we start rolling, I'll like close my eyes and I'll kind of call in. Rex will go away and Colin will
right,
come out, right?
right,
So that I can really give that performance.
right,
And a lot of people probably have noticed that most of the behind the scenes photos and videos that you see, I'm
right,
usually Colin. Like you see very few pictures of me smiling or really hanging out with the rest of the cast.
right,
Um And a part of that is because I really like to keep people on the edge of the seat, and not only the audience, but my coworkers as well.
Right.
Um,
And
like
they told me
there's
about that too. I've heard from them
good,
about
good. Like that's my goal is
it.
I
Right.
know there's, and I'm sure they talked about, but in one scene there was this, there was this actor, and he was new. You could tell he was new. He was a beginning actor.
Right.
So he needed to be scared, right, for
Right.
the scene, and he just, it was hard. You could tell he was nervous, so it was kind of hard for him to get there. So I went to Bobby and I was like, "Hey, Bobby, just start shooting, right,
Right.
and just watch." And I snuck around because he's in front of a dumpster, right? So his left side is blocked, and he's kind of sitting there and he's waiting for the action. And I kind of sneak to the side, and I just smacked the dumpster as hard as I could, and it, like, made him jump. And we got that on tape. It, I think might have scared him a little too much, maybe because he didn't really pursue with the lines. But it's just like the little things like that, and just keeping people on the edge of their seat, especially when I'm in character. Like, just, I'll admit some of the things I say are inappropriate, but it's one of those things. Is like you can't really blame me because I'm Colin, right? So there,
Right. College
yeah,
fault.
exactly, yeah.
Right. Well, cool. So, now you've besides Seven Roses, what were did you work on any like major projects before that one? Um, or
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Actually, one of the I've worked on two SAG films that I had
okay,
lines in.
okay,
One was called Harvey, and that was distributed. It's on Dish and it's on Amazon. It's on a bunch of different
okay,
networks. I think you can buy it in Walmart, and, like, you know you can buy it
right,
on DVD. Um, I was in another one called Legacy of Love, same company.
okay,
I'm just like in the credits though, in the sense of, like, they have like a video of me. I
right,
had to. I was a husband that ends up, you know, taking myself out. So I
okay.
did like a video apology type of
Oh
thing.
wow, yeah,
That one's kind of interesting actually because
mhm,
I auditioned for the role,
right.
and then it was like a couple months later I got paperwork saying, "Hey, we need you to sign this because you're in the movie." And I
Oh
was
well,
like, "But I'm not." And they
mhm.
were like, "Yeah, we just used your audition."
Oh wow,
And I was like, "Oh, okay, I guess."
that was easy.
So, yeah. So, you know,
Cool.
that's
So,
some of the bigger ones.
so what are you working on currently?
There, there's a laundry list.
Okay,
Um, so I'm currently writing my own feature film right now.
okay,
Um, that's about it's about PTSD and, like, this veteran's journey.
okay,
Um, and it's a very Rambo style movie. It's just a lot of action, and it's a revenge story. So I'm interested. I like that's still in the very very early pre-production phases. Like, I don't even have the first draft for it done. Um, I have one that I've been working on for a while now. It's called Tajreba. We actually have a website. It's called tajrebaseries.com. On there you can kind of see, like, the gist of what we're going with it. Our one of our main points for it is to kind of spread awareness on human trafficking, human experimentation. Um, a lot, we're working with a lot of people that are involved in that, so we're getting as much real information as we can. Um, we actually, with that, have a possible investment in Guyana, which I'm very excited about. I'm not gonna say too much right now, but um, some big news on that. And then I'm cast in a couple other feature films. I'm cast in Jason Jones's The X's. He's currently writing a feature film. I play a stoner in it, which he's actually trying to get. He's crowdfunding right now. He has a Indiegogo. So if you do want to go check that out, it's called The X's on Indiegogo.com. You can check that out. I'm in Heather Fraley's fan film. She's doing a kind of like horror comedy um, about all of the, like major, killers that we all know and love. I will be playing, oh, what's his name? I can't. Buffalo Bill. I play Buffalo Bill in that. Which I cross dress in Seven Roses. I've done it a couple times before, so it's nothing new for me.
So with Buffalo Bill, that's gonna be a western, or
So that is, like I said, that's Heather Fraley's fan film.
okay.
So I don't want to say too much about it.
So this is he's a serial killer, basically.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
okay,
so Buffalo Bill is like a old. It's a movie. I believe it was in the 80s or the 90s where there's a guy. It's the most popular scene is there's a woman in this well,
right,
and he goes over to her and he puts this lotion and like this other stuff in a basket and he brings it down to her,
okay,
and she's naked and everything, and he says you puts it puts the lotion on its skin or it
right,
gets the hose again, and basically he's the serial killer that he like skins women and
right,
wears their skin, and
right.
he's like creepy. So
Well, okay. It kind of reminds me. Wasn't it a character like that in um, the Hannibal Lecter movie that
yeah. There's a character similar to it, but
yeah,
Buffalo Bill has his own like movies. You know what I
right,
mean?
okay,
He's
yeah,
like his own. He's similar to like Jason and Freddy Krueger.
right,
Like he
okay,
has his
yeah,
own kind of arc, you could say.
right,
Yeah.
cool. So and then do you have another one other than that, or is that?
That's all I can think about right now.
Well, they're keeping you busy. They're keeping you busy. So
Yeah, I do. Like I said, I do have that audition for the cop one.
right,
Which I am excited for because that's for Lifetime, so that would be
right,
really
okay,
nice.
right.
And then I do voiceover work and everything too, so I kind of dabble in everything that I can.
Right. That brings it kind of to another question. I know that out there, you guys, you guys are just cranking out movie after movie. I mean, it's incredible. How do you guys keep up with all that? I mean, being in, I know that Heather has done like 20 something films.
Yeah.
She's not even been there like a year.
She's crazy. That girl she's a very hard worker. I'm really
right,
glad I met her because she's going to be like she's going places 100%.
right. Yeah, and I'm looking at all the stuff she's been posting, on Facebook, and I mean, it's like every time it's around, it's like more movies. I'm like, do you guys ever sleep with her?
No, my whole philosophy is, I'll get sleep when I'm dead, right? So, and luckily, I think I have a slight advantage because the Marines really taught me how to go very long periods of time with little to no sleep. Right. So, I do go back to that place sometimes when I'm getting really tired,
Right.
Like in the Marines. And one of the things that I would like to do is like when you're getting tired, you hurt yourself, right? Because you kind of spook yourself awake. So there'll be times when, I just get done with a 14 to 15 hour set and I have to drive, because my house is roughly 2 to 2.5 hours away from most of my gigs.
Oh wow. That's a long drive.
It is, but the way I look at it is like, I'm 2 to 2.5 hours away from pretty much everything in the sense of Jacksonville, Georgia, Orlando, Miami, Lakeland. Like everything is about 2 hours away, you know? So, the people that are in Orlando that have gigs in Jacksonville, that's a 3.5 hour drive. I'm like, it's only 2 hours. It's not that big of a deal.
Right.
But those long drives, I'll just be like pinching the heck out of my ribs. Wow. I'm just like, all right, time to stay awake.
Right. So let me ask you this: is there a particular role or a film or that you would love to be a part of?
I have two. I have two dream roles that I've wanted to play my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is Cletus Cassidy, who is Carnage in the Spider-Man comics.
Right.
I know Woody Harrelson did it, and I'm mad about it. Because Cletus Cassidy in the comics is a redhead. Obviously one of my main things, of course, is I am trying to get more more natural redheads into the industry. Like that's a huge goal of mine.
Right.
Because there's so many films I watch where they want a redhead, but they just dyed somebody's hair, and oh
Right.
man, oh it irritates me. So Cletus Cassidy is a big role. And then another one is Hercules. Like
Okay.
one of my huge goals is to make the Disney film that
Right.
Hercules made, or the Hercules that Disney film, the
Right.
animated one. Back in like the 90s, I think. Right.
Right.
I want to make a live action of that film. Like
Okay.
that's my goal. So I actually told all of my, all my team and everything that
Right.
if I get this film in the cop film,
Right.
that'll be my next push, because I'll have to cut all this off.
Right.
So my next push will be Hercules. I'll just
Wow.
start hitting the gym like crazy and just gain like 60 pounds in a year, and
Right.
just start going out there like that.
Wow. Well, cool. So now, if somebody wanted to follow you, and keep up with all the stuff you're doing, and obviously, they're all going to want to see Seven Roses. So, how would they keep up with you on that? What?
It's honestly super simple. Every one of my social medias is just Rex Seaton, REXSEATON, one word, like one big word.
Okay.
I have a Facebook page, I have an Instagram, I have a Twitter, I have a TikTok. I'm pretty much on everything, and I'm fairly active. So you can find me pretty much anywhere with Rex Seaton.
Rex Seaton. Okay. So I'll make sure that I'll put that in the links with our under the interview.
Perfect. Yeah.
That way they can keep track with you. So, all right, man. Well, I want to thank you so much for being on the show, man. It's privilege to be able to get to know you and get to talk to you. Like I said, I'm really looking forward to this movie coming out. I told Bobby he's got to come on with it.
I know. I'm ready too. Like I'm in it and I want to see it.
Right. So, awesome, brother. So thank you again. So, thank you so much for being on the show. It was a privilege, to get to know you, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. You as well. It was great being on it. Honestly, I had a really fun time, and I'll definitely be shouting you out too on my social medias. So
awesome. Well, we appreciate that.
Of course.
All right, cool. All right, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up the show. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Like we said, make sure that you follow Rex Seaton and look out for all the roles he's got coming out. I've heard so much positive feedback from a lot of people about him, and I'm excited about seeing this movie Seven Roses. So, all right, guys. So until next time, remember, you are uniquely designed with the purpose, and always keep moving forward. Peace.